Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this seventh lecture of Part 1 series. It's a basic statistics, descriptive stats. So I hope hypothesis testing procedure is clear to everyone. We did it with the p-value approach and test of significance approach. So today we have to do this exercise with the Stata software. So first let me introduce what we have to do today, which type of hypothesis we do and why. Besides that, I'll also try to explain you the confidence interval approach. Yesterday that was left. Today I'll try to explain you the confidence interval approach as well. So when we have a descriptive statistics, I hope everyone is joined who want to join today. So time. Yeah, it's already 3. So let's start. Okay, so today we'll do the comparison with the Z and T test. And we are going to compare in the hypothesis testing. Means we are going to do hypothesis testing for comparison case. Now the question is what type of comparison and what things we are going to compare. So today we will cover these 3 type of testing with 3 different types of data groups: Z test, T test, and proportions test. As yesterday I already explained you the Z and T, the difference between both. Today we also try to cover this proportions test. This is also again a case of Z test. Now we will cover these 3 cases: one sample test, two independent sample test, case of group studies, and paired test where we compare 2 different variables but out of a single set of sample. So we will do these 3 type of hypothesis testing for Z, T, and proportions. So you have to identify when you have to apply Z, when you have to apply T test, and how you apply proportions test and what this proportion test is about. So let's start with the first case. This is about comparison, and so far we did only the descriptive stats. About in the categorical we described with the frequencies. In case of quantitative we described with the central values and dispersions. So today we do hypothesis testing for this both the parameters. Mean, that's a quantitative mean, we central values we calculate for quantitative data, and proportions. Proportions is a frequency distribution, so that's the categorical data. So we will do hypothesis testing for proportions and mean. So let's start with the first question. Now first case is of single sample set, this first one, single sample test. So the thing is what we have to compare and with whom we have to compare, means which values we have to compare. The hint I am giving you about which actually we might or we might not have any value. So let's suppose you have a single sample test. So and this is a case of both quantitative and qualitative data. So can anyone try to guess what we are going to compare and with which values we are going to compare? Any guess? Sample mean with population mean. Yes, true. We are going to compare sample mean, but if it's a categorical type of data, then proportions, we are going to compare the proportions. Only thing is tricky, as Gagan yesterday asked me, sir, if we don't know the population parameter, then what we will do. So yes, first this is a 2 type of case. First, let's take a quantitative data. Then we have to compare mean of sample with population. Then we have to apply Z and T test based upon the available information, sample size, and distribution. And second, if it's a categorical variable, then it's comparison of sample proportion of particular category with proportion in population for same category. Then we have to apply proportion test, that's a z-test. So let's start with the first case, which we started yesterday, that I explained this. I hope you have this data set. Yesterday I shared the data set. So today I'm going to do this exercise with the data set. So let's start with the same example which we are doing yesterday. This page number 301. This example we did yesterday, right? We were trying to compare the mean with some specific population parameter where we decided its mean is equal to 200 and alternate hypothesis was it's not equal to 200. So here we did this in a manual process. So if you have this particular case, when you have a sufficient sample size and you know the mean and standard deviation of population, then you can apply z-test. And this is a particular formula for z-test. Today we will do this with this data. So let's see, this is the case. This example we are doing yesterday. So yesterday I explained that first we have to calculate this critical value based upon one tail or two tail and level of significance. Let's suppose the level of significance is in this particular case is 1% two tail test. So how we find critical values with Stata software? So for Stata software, first you have to install this ztail function in your Stata. So just type search ztail. If you have to type search ztail. If you, so far if there is no data set in your Stata, not a problem. Just start your Stata and in the command window, screen is not visible to whom? I think it's Divya only. It's visible to others. Okay. So just type search ztail. In ztail, if you don't have that particular program, you have to install from this particular. Just click on this particular window. After typing search ztail, just click to install this particular package. And here you have to click install. I already installed, so I'm not doing it again. You have to just install it. So just click on this install, and if it's done, let me know. This is to directly calculate the critical values with the Stata software for t-test and for z-test. For t-test, the package is different, and for z is different. So first, let's take a case of z-test. So I will show you how we calculate critical value with the Stata software. Is it installed? Without any data set, means so far you don't require any data set. Okay. So now what we need a critical values. The situation here is 1% level of significance and two tail test. So for Z, you don't need to worry about the sample size to calculate the critical value because this is standardized normal curve. You only need to know the level of significance, and either it's a one tail or two tail. So Ankita is saying again, okay, Ankita, Just type search ZTail in your command window. This particular command you have to type in command window. Then click on this particular package, and here you have to click here to install. Then it will install in your Stata software. So we need a critical value. So to get a critical value, you have to type Z level of significance. The level of significance as per the situation, it is 1%, and it's 2 tail, so you have to type 2. So Z tail 0.01, this is the level of significance, then 2. If you enter this particular command, and if then you press the enter, it will give you critical values. So our critical values are plus minus 2.576. So let's match these critical values with this particular situation of the textbooks. Yeah, this is a 0.258, so approximately it is actual value is plus minus 2.57. So this with Stata you can directly calculate the critical values. You are not required to look upon the tables. This is how you calculate critical value for Z. So now we have the critical values. What we need this particular Z stat value, so that we can compare whether this particular value is lying in the acceptance range or it's lying in the rejection region. So to do that, we need a Z statistics. Manually, this is the formula. As yesterday I explained, this particular formula is all about the difference between the population parameter and the sample parameter in proportion to standard deviation of the population. If this proportion is high, it means the difference is more between the population parameter and sample parameter. So we have to take those results seriously, and we have to reject the null hypothesis. And if this difference in proportion to standard deviation is low, then might be chance it will lie between this particular critical region. So we have to accept the null hypothesis. So we need a Z statistics. So next thing in the Stata, if you have this data set, like this particular question, whatever data set they have, then you can do it with directly with the Stata software. But if you don't have this data set, but still you have these values, then you can calculate these Z statistics with Stata software as well. So to do that, you have to go to statistics, summaries, classical test of hypothesis. Within a classical test of hypothesis, Z-test calculator. Summary tables, classical test of hypothesis. Within a classical test of hypothesis, there is option Z-test calculator. So now it need first, this is a one sample case. So let's see this particular situation. This is the one sample case where we are trying to compare our sample statistics with the population parameter. So now you need this other information to calculate this mean of the sample, mean of the population, and then sample size and standard deviation. So you have to fill this information in this particular table. 50 is the sample size. First, you have to select one sample because it's a case of one sample, right? The sample mean is 203.5. Population standard deviation is 16. Hypothesized mean is 200 that we have in the null hypothesis. And now this is our case of 1% level of significance. So we will select here 99 confidence interval. So that's our 1% level of significance. So if I'll press OK and check the results, So our Z value is 1.54. So let's match with this particular textbook example. Yes, it's exactly 1.55. That's 1.54. So now we have a critical value. Critical value is 2.576 and our calculated value is 1.5. So it won't lie in this particular, this particular value lie in this this acceptance region between the critical values. So we have to accept the null hypothesis. Similarly, this is the case, right? These are our critical values and this particular value lie within the critical values range in acceptance region. So we have to accept the null hypothesis. So this is how you calculate this Z value from this Stata software and how you calculate critical values. So this textbook example we are doing with the Stata software. So next, the p-value approach yesterday, as I described you. If your p-value is less than the level of significance, then you have to reject the null hypothesis. Otherwise, you have to accept the null hypothesis. In this particular case, this is a two-tail test. These are for one tail. So you have to look upon the two tail. And our hypothesized mean is equal to 200 that we described to this data. After classical, where please give your full concentration. I already described it 3 times. Summaries, classical test of hypothesis, then Z-test calculator. Here you have to put all these values. These values I am following from the textbook example. 50 is the sample. It's given in the questions. If we have a data set, then we don't need to put these values individually. But right now we don't have a data set, so I'm taking values from this particular situation and trying to calculate Z statistics. So in this case, sample size is 50. 200 is the hypothesized mean, that's a null hypothesis. 1% level of significance, that's 99% confidence interval. Population standard deviation given in the question itself, it's 16. Sample mean is 203.5. So if you enter these values and click OK, it will give you these results. Z statistics, that's we are more interested. So this is now this our value is lying out within the acceptance region, so we have to accept the null hypothesis. In the p-value approach, since our p-value is greater than the level of significance, so again we have to accept the null hypothesis. So in both the cases, we have to accept the null hypothesis. The confidence interval approach. Now, okay, I'll explain you this confidence interval approach. Generally, confidence interval approach is, if I explain this particular thing with the example, let me see if I have this example. Okay, take this particular case 445. Yeah, this is confidence interval approach. This textbook which I am sharing with you, you might get surprised that I bought this particular textbooks approximately around 14,000. So even if I combine the fee of this particular first part series for all the participants, still my cost is much more than the whatever I have received. But still we have to complete this series. So these textbooks, I shared it freely with you, but I bought this particular with the 14,000. I paid for this particular textbook, and this is not a Canadian edition. If you buy the Canadian edition, which I shared with you, this particular one is much more costlier. It's around 19,000. The soft copy, it's around 19,000. But with this particular book, they also shared the data sets and many other things which are quite useful to do the exercise. So that's the reason I bought this. And this particular book, the University of Toronto, which I think on a 10th rank, if I take the world ranking about the commerce particularly, they are using this in their data analysis courses in all their master MBA and BBA programs. as a intermediary course. So this is something very useful if you want to do analysis, basic statistical analysis. So this textbook is quite useful, and their exercise, all the exercise they provided with the answers and their data sets, and there are quite interesting case studies in this textbook. So it's really helpful. One tail, two tail. Yesterday I already explained one tail, two tail. That depend upon your hypothesis, null
No, sir,
hypothesis.
I'm asking in stata. In stata, when we are calculating, how do we know that we are calculating one tail test or a two tail test?
No, Stata provide you both the results, two tail as well as one tail. Value did this
Okay,
test.
okay.
So Stata provide you both two tail and one tail. This equal to, this is our null hypothesis. So this is a two tail case. So these are three possibilities, right? If the alternate is not equal to 200, might be less than and greater than. So Stata provide you all the three options. So I was trying to explain the confidence interval approach that yesterday it was left. So let's first see what this confidence interval approach is. This is actually, if I just take an example of, don't try to see that it's a t-test or z-test. Confidence interval approach is same for all, only values will differ. What it will do, it will calculate a range with your sample mean with plus minus whatever statistic you have, z or t, multiply with the standard error or standard deviation of that particular mean, whatever you have. So if you calculate this range, that range we call confidence interval. And we try to see whether our population parameter lie within that particular range or not. If it lie in that particular confidence interval approach, then you have to accept the null hypothesis. If it is not lying in confidence interval approach, confidence intervals, then you have to reject the null hypothesis. Let's take this particular example that we are calculating. Our confidence interval is 197 to 209. And what is our population parameter? That's 200. So our 200 lying in this confidence interval. So we would say accept the null hypothesis. So this is a different approach because here what we do, we make a range with the sample statistics. Like here in this case, we have this sample mean. With that sample mean, you have to calculate plus minus range. Another example, if I'll give you this one, like let's suppose this is I have already, although taken for a regression, but it will help you. This particular, let's suppose this particular beta 2 hat is our sample calculated mean. So you have to calculate a range with plus minus this particular sample statistics. Now what we have to plus minus, you have to plus minus whatever statistics you are using, that value of that statistics. Like let's suppose we are using z, then you have to use a z value from the table. That critical value is corresponding to level of significance. If it's a two tail, then you have to divide it by 2. Then you have to multiply that with the standard error, standard deviation of the sample statistics. If you plus minus these values with your sample statistics, that's your confidence interval. And if within a confidence interval, your null hypothesis parameter lie, population parameter will lie, then you have to accept the null hypothesis, otherwise you have to reject the null hypothesis. So in these three cases, like confidence interval approach, test of significance approach, which we are doing with the critical value, and the p-value approach, all the three will give you same results. Like in this case, with the critical value, we got that the level of significance approach, we got that this particular value is lying in the acceptance region. So we have to reject, so we have to accept the null hypothesis. Our p-value is greater than the level of significance. So again, we have to accept the null hypothesis. Our population parameter is lying within the confidence interval. So we have to accept the null hypothesis. So all the three cases will give you same results. So you don't need to worry about either you was using p-value approach, test of significance approach, or confidence interval approach. That 5-step process will remain same for all, only what will be differ. in place of critical value, in case of confidence interval, you have to calculate the confidence intervals. Otherwise, if you are using level of test of significance approach, then you have to calculate the test statistics and that you have to compare with the critical value. So these are the three different approaches of hypothesis testing. I hope this confidence is clear how we calculate confidence intervals. If you need more clarity, then go to this particular example in this textbook. I already shared this textbook. They did this calculation here in this particular example. So you will find how we calculate confidence interval. You have to see this table value, but now I'm showing you how to calculate this value in the Stata software. So you directly calculate this value with the Stata software. Standard error you have to calculate, or standard deviation for specific sample statistics, that you have to plus minus with the sample statistics. That will give you the confidence interval approach. So this is how you have to calculate the confidence interval. So right now we are doing one sample test and case of z-test. And this is a case of quantitative data. So we are comparing mean. This you have to keep in mind always. If it's a one-tail test, then in place of 2, like I want to know the one-tail test value, the critical value, then in place of 2, you have to type 1. Z-tail 0.01, level of significance, and 1. If you want to need a critical value for one-tail test, then enter 1 in place of 2. So it will give you critical value for one-tail test. Sometimes it takes time to show the, yeah, it's still working. So now you have a one tail. No need to worry about it's left side means you're negative. The value remains same. Only thing is then you have a minus 2.326. Okay. So don't worry about this plus minus. If your particular case is about this particular side, then this value is minus 2.32. That only you have to adjust. So you can directly calculate critical values with the Stata software. So this is how you do one sample test in case of quantitative data where we compare the mean. And if you have the normal distribution in the population, you know the standard deviation value of the population, your sample size is large, then you can use this z-test. But the only thing is, if I'll go to this particular thing, we need what we need actually. We need this hypothesized mean, and that's a population parameter. And more than that, we need this population standard deviation to calculate z statistic value. So in case you don't know the population standard deviation value, then you have to go through the t-test. I'll show you today. For large sample size, t distribution, t critical value and distribution is same, equal to the z-test distribution. So in that case, it won't differ. But if it's a small sample size, then you have to take care about that. So I hope this one sample test for z-test is clear. Then we will do the same with the t-test. And this is done. Okay. Or okay, let me show you one more example with this. Now you have this data set. Please open your data set. This is I'm trying to show you the textbook example, but how we do the same exercise when we have our own data, right? Then how you will do? Then you don't need to do this, enter all the values and all. Then there is a shortcut method. So now please open the data set which I shared yesterday. You have these variables. Female, that's actually gender, female and male. Then race, then school type, program, reading score, writing score, mathematics score, science score, and social studies score. So please open this data set. Let me do this one sample Z test with actual data sets, because in your PhDs and all research, you have your own data set. So how you do this particular thing? So let's suppose I want to know that I want to compare the mean of this writing score with the population. Let's suppose first I have to calculate the mean of our sample. This is, I'm taking this hypothetical case. Let's suppose this is the mean score in the sample. This is students' data is 52.77. And if I know that, let's suppose this is a case of one particular section in a particular school, and I know that all the sections have a mean score of approximately 60, but this particular class have or a section have a score of on an average 52.77. So I want to know where this particular difference is just by some error or by chance, or is there something in this particular section that there is some problem in this particular section and these students have a low score. So let's take this is the case, means in this case I know the population parameter, that on an average the average score for writing for all the students for school is, for all the sections is 60, but this particular section is only scoring 52.7. So I just curious or worried that is it just by chance, or is it some problems this particular section is facing? So let's do this type of hypothesis testing. So we have this one sample test, and our variable is this particular right score, the score for this right variable. So if we have this particular case, then how you will compare this, or how you will do this particular hypothesis testing? Then now you don't need to do it with the critical value, means test of significance, means first you have critical value and Z statistics or the confidence interval. Just go to the statistics summary, classical test of, today all the exercise you will do with the classical test of hypothesis. So this you have to just keep in mind that whatever today we will do, we'll do within a classical test of hypothesis. We will do this three type of test today: T test, Z test, and proportion test. Today we will do. So anytime you forget which function I am clicking, so just keep remember. Today we will do classical test of hypothesis, three case: T test, Z test, and proportion test. Yes, sir. How do you know mean is 60 or you are assuming it? In this case, I am assuming, yeah, I mean, let's suppose I am saying that I'm in a particular school and I know the mean square of all the sections of that particular class or particular subject. So I'm just worried. Means this particular one sample case, you definitely need a population parameter. If you don't have a population parameter, then it means you don't have anything to compare. So that in that particular case, there is no meaning to do hypothesis testing, right? When we do hypothesis testing, when we have something to compare, and here in one sample test the comparison variable is population parameter, because we need a null hypothesis, and null hypothesis come from population parameter. This particular situation is restricted to cases where you know the population parameter. If you don't know, then the first thing is no meaning in hypothesis testing, right? Means if we don't have anything to compare, then why we compare? So let's suppose I am just taking this hypothetically, that's it's a 60 and I am worried about this particular section. So now in place of Z test or anything, you have to click on Z test mean comparison test. These options might be different in, I think, data 12 or 11. So, but I think in 14, 15 and 16, these options are same. So click on Z test. So this is a case of one sample test. So first you have to click on, by default, it might be on one sample. So keep it one sample. Variable is right, this particular variable. Now it asks confidence interval. Let's suppose I'm I want it on a 5%. So confidence interval is 95%. Now it will ask me two things. First, the hypothesized mean. I am saying it's 60. The second thing it will ask the standard deviation of the population. So here the problem lies. Now we don't know the right because we don't have a population, so we don't know the population standard deviation. So in many standard textbooks, like if I give you reference of this statistics concept and application by Harry Frank and Stephen Elton from University of Michigan, Cambridge University Press. This statistics and many other statistics, I had read that if you know the population is normally distributed and your sample size is sufficiently large, then you can use the sample standard deviation as the standard deviation for the population. Or the other way is if you don't know the standard deviation, then simple like this textbook, if you read this particular textbook which I shared with you, in this particular textbook you will find that if you don't know the population standard deviation, then use t-test, and then don't use this z-test, then use t-test. If you don't know the standard deviation of population, use a t-test. So let me do this by both the cases. First, I'm going to do it with the Z case, and I'm assuming that this is a large sample size. Here the sample size is 200 in this particular case. And let's take that the standard deviation is equal to the population standard deviation. So I'm putting value here 0.67. That's the sample standard deviation. Other way, you have to use a t-test. If you follow this particular textbook, then you have to use a t-test because you don't know the population standard deviation. So let me do this by both the methods, and let's see is there any difference in the conclusion. So right now I'm using this sample standard deviation as a representative population standard deviation because I'm assuming if sample size is large, the standard deviation is going to be the same. So if I press enter, now my null is that mean is equal to 60 and the z value is 1.5 something, it's too high z value. So in this particular case, if I go with the p-value approach, our p-value is less than the level of significance, so our null is rejected and alternate is accepted. It means this difference 52 minus 60 is something which is important and we have to take care of. So in this particular case, we have to take care about this particular section and we need to do something about it. Might be due to some teacher or some problem with the student. So this difference is not by chance, it is something which is indicating. So we have to reject the null hypothesis and we have to accept the alternate hypothesis. So let's do the same thing with the t-test. Again, classical test of hypothesis. Yeah, if it's lie outside the confidence, it means we have to reject the null hypothesis. We have to accept the alternate hypothesis. So by all the three methods, our null is got rejected. We have to accept the alternate hypothesis. For the confidence interval, the rule is if your population parameter lie within the confidence interval, you have to accept the null hypothesis. Otherwise, you have to reject the null hypothesis. So in this case, we have to reject the null hypothesis, right? So by all the three methods, we have accepted alternate hypothesis. So let's do this particular because we don't know the standard deviation of population. So it's appropriate to use the t-test. Let's do this particular thing with the t-test. Now here you have a t-test mean comparison test. One sample variable is right. Hypothesized mean is 60. Okay. So you will see the difference here. The mean and standard errors are Okay, is we did some mistake here. No, okay. So by the hypothesis testing rule, again the null hypothesis got rejected. The only difference is lie here that this t statistic value is different with the z statistics value, because z is something which we use with the population standard deviation and t is with the sample. So here the situation of the degree of freedom is come here in the picture. So although results will remain same, we are going to reject the null hypothesis, but statistics value will be differ. So in many textbooks, they are saying use t that statistic if you don't know the population standard deviation. If I'll show you these distributions, that if after a 60 or 70 sample size, they got merged with each other, so you won't find any difference within the distributions. Let me show you one example. Any doubt so far? And please stop me. I'm trying to now show you the difference between t distribution and z distribution, and if your sample size will increase, these both the distribution are going to be merged. So to do that, first you have to again install this particular package t demo, because you did the z, but now you also need a t critical values. So just type search t without space demo. This is, I'm just trying to show you how you can find the critical values for t test. Earlier we did with the z test. So if by any chance you need a critical values for t test, then you need a this particular. So type search t demo, enter. Now here the package, yeah, this is the particular package. So just click on this particular package, install it. So just do it. By the time I'll show you how you find critical values for t distribution. Just press install, then close it or minimize. I'm closing it because I already installed it. So let's see the differences. Okay, so first I'm going to take two tail. Okay, let's see the same. This is our Z. Sample size is of 200, 199 degree of freedom. And we have selected 5% level of significance. So T demo. Then first you have to enter degree of freedom, that is 199. Then if it's a two tail, then 2, and then degree, level of significance. So if I'll press it, enter. T demo, 199 degree of freedom. Two tail test, so 2, and then 0.05, that's our level of significance. So if you can't see the difference here, means this particular line, you might be seeing that is a single line. It's not actually single line. There are two lines here. One is red and one is blue. Blue is normal distribution, that is for the Z, and red is for the T distribution. They got merged because our sample size is large. Means now our critical values for both the cases will be same. Now let me show you the difference. Let's suppose is our sample size is small. It's 20. Then you can see the difference, right? For 20, now you can see the distribution for T, that is the red, is much wider than as compared to this particular blue one. So in this case, the critical values will differ. So with the small sample, t and normal distribution will differ, but with the large sample, they got merged. This yesterday I was trying to explain this thing. Now you can see with this Stata software that it will happen if you have a large sample size. Then your t and normal distribution got merged. But if you have small sample size, then better to use t distribution because it's wider as compared to z or the normal distribution. So is it clear so far? So if you don't know the population standard deviation, then the simple solution, use t-test, okay? Let's just, there's no something, yeah, that's a question mark. You don't need to be worried about. That's just saying for this particular value that this critical value is 2.094. This T1, this red one case, they are not showing the Z critical values, but they are going to more or less same. That's actually a plus minus. That's actually a plus minus 209. That in the left hand side 209 and in the positive side 209. So this is a case of one sample test. So if you want to do this with the textbook example, then it's page number 312. Yeah, this is the case. When you have a small sample and population standard deviation is unknown, then you have to use the t-test. So let's do this particular question. Now the formula will go to how the difference in the formula is in the denominator, in place of population standard deviation, in t-test we will use sample standard deviation. That's the only difference with the z statistic and t statistic. So let's suppose this is the case. Now we'll try to sort out this particular with the t-test. The insurance company claims department reports the mean cost to process a claim is $60. An industry comparison showed this amount to be larger than most other insurance companies, so they instituted cost-cutting measures. To evaluate the effect of the cost-cutting measures, the supervisor of the claims department selected a random sample of 36 claims processed last month and determined the cost to process these selected claims. Sample information is reported below. At the 0.01 level, significance level, is it reasonable to conclude that mean cost to process claim is now less than 60? So this is the case where your null hypothesis, this particular situation is of one tail test. The null hypothesis is that it's greater than or equal to 60. So as I yesterday explained you are not worried about the alternate hypothesis. Whatever is the left is the alternate. So in this case, the less than 60 is your alternate hypothesis. So this is a case of one tail test. So for t-test, we need this population parameter. Other things it will do automatically. So let's solve this particular situation with. So again, we don't have this data set, so we need these values, right? Sample mean, population parameter, sample standard deviation, and degree of freedom. So again, we need to use, in place of z-test, we are using t-test because one, the sample size is less than 30 in this case. Second, population standard deviation is not known. So it's better to use t-test. So this is again statistics summary, classical test of hypothesis. Now in place of t-test, we need t-test calculator because we don't have this data set, right? It's a one sample size in this particular case is 26. Sample hypothesized mean is 60. Sorry, it's not a 60. They have calculated it, right? Yeah, 56.42. 56.42. Let me open this case. Sample standard deviation 10 point. You have this data for 26 observations, you can calculate manually. Then hypothesized mean is 60. Level of significance as instructed 1%. So if I'll press OK, let me see the values. Our T statistics, now it's a one-tail test. Our alternate hypothesis is mean is less than 60, so you have to see this particular case, one-tail test. Degree of freedom is 25, T value is minus 1.81. So let's cross check with the, yes, minus 1.81. This is how you calculate. If you don't have a data set, then you have to use these values. They have this data, right? This is a manual process so that you can understand the process. So what we need in this particular case, confidence interval approach, if you see, this 60 is lying in this particular range. So we'll accept the null hypothesis, right? If you see the p-value approach, this 0.04 is greater than 0.01. That's our level of significance. So again, we have to accept the null hypothesis. If you need a critical value level of significance approach, then you need a critical value. So how you calculate critical value? Now you have this package T demo, 25 degree of freedom. Now one tail, so press 1, 0.01. It will give you the critical value for T. So your critical value is 2.49. Let's see, yeah, it's 2.48, right? If you see the table, it's a 2.485, so approximately 249. And so as I explained you that in this data, you don't need to worry about this in the positive side. We have this negative side, so value will be the same, 2.49. So good interpretation. Well, now you interpret. I already interpret so many cases, so why not you try to interpret? What it means, our null hypothesis is accepted. We are rejecting the alternate hypothesis. So interpretation depend upon the situation. So what was the situation here? Situation is in the null we are saying greater than or equal to 60. So we have to accept this. So to interpret is we have to go through this particular situation, the question. Interpretation comes with the question. Is it reasonable to conclude that mean cost to process claim is now less than 60? It's greater than or equal to 60. Means we are accepting the null hypothesis. Let's see how they interpreted this particular case. The conclusion part here. We have not demonstrated that the cost cutting measures reduce the mean cost per claim to less than 60. To put another way, the difference of 3.0 between the sample mean and the population could be due to sampling error. So we rejected this particular alternate hypothesis. So we accepted the null hypothesis. So this is the interpretation doesn't depend upon the question in hand, whatever question you have. Yes, that's all about a null hypothesis, an alternate. Whatever situation you have in the null alternate, that you have to interpret in the end whether you accepted or rejected that situation. No, Divya, in this case, the level of significance is 0.01, not 0.05. It's already given in the question situation that you have to take a 0.01 level of significance. So this is a case of one sample test where you compare, and this is a case of quantitative data. So we are comparing the mean. There are few things you have to keep in mind while you apply the t-test. If I have in this PPT, let me see it. Although I kept it for, yes, 446. Yeah, these are assumptions. There are a few assumptions that you have to take care of while you apply the t-test. Although these are more to the in relevance to commerce, but social science as well relevant. So you have to take first independence assumption that your data is independent. We can't check this because we only have one sample data set, so we don't know it's dependent or independent. The second is randomization. The data arrives from a random sample or suitable randomized experiment. So in this case, we assume that these outcomes are randomized. Our sample process is random from the random process. The one more condition they describe is here, that 10% condition. The sample size should be no more than 10% of the population. So in this particular case, if we take this particular question, whether our sample size is less than 10% of the population or not, if we take this particular case, Mac, for instance, company claims department reports mean cost to process is 60. They just took a 26 sample size. So this particular company, insurance company, definitely have a, if it's a big company, definitely have a thousands of claims, right? So 26 is not even nearby the 10%. So we can assume that assumption and we can apply the t-test. So these are the three precautions you have to take care of while you apply the t-test. One another nearly normal condition means you have to look upon, because this again the t distribution is normal distribution. This is not a skewed distribution. So your data needs to be normal distribution. So always check whether it's normal distribution or not. Now in this particular case, we don't have a data, so I can't show it's normal distributed or not. But if you have a data, then we can cross check it. Like for example, in this particular right variable, earlier we did with the t-test. If we can check the histogram for this particular right variable, so we can cross check whether it's normally distributed or not. And so this is a very tricky situation, right? So we might not be sure. Then you have to go with some hypothesis testing for normal distribution or normal density plot. Let me see the normal density plot for this particular case. Histogram. This is a discrete data because the scores are not in a continuous. The right variable density plot, I need this normal density plot. So let's see by the density plot. So density plot is hinting that nearby normal distribution. So you can go with the normal probability plot or Skewness-Curtis hypothesis testing for normality check. So before applying the t-distribution, so it's vetted, you can cross check whether your data is normally distributed or not. If we have a time, I'll do this normality check with the third part in the series while I describe the array distribution, how it's normally distributed. Then I'll elaborate Skewness-Curtis hypothesis testing, then normal probability plot. So these are the tests to check the whether data is normally distributed or not. So you have to check this if you have a doubt that your data is skewed. Next, if you read this particular textbook or other literature, it's better to use between 50 and 40 in small sample size case. If your sample size small like 5, 6, 7, then it's too risky. Then I suggest don't apply that even t-test. Then might be non-parametric test, but not the t-test because it need at least a normal distribution. So this normal distribution is required for z-test as well as for t-test also. So this is one sample test. Now in one sample, the another thing is about the quantitative variables. Proportion test is, proportion test. Means if you have a quantitative data, categorical data. Let's see another example, 309. Proportion hypothesis testing. Proportion is when you have this particular frequency distributions, right? You want to check the proportions. For proportions, the formula is this one. This is the population proportion, this is sample proportion divided by the standard deviation for the population proportion. The Z test, this proportion test is with the Z only so far. T distribution is not for the proportion test. So far you have only one option. Proportion test is with the Z only, not with the T. So let me do this particular case. Prior elections in Indiana indicate it is necessary for a candidate for governor to receive at least 80% of the vote in the northern section of the state to be elected. Now it's something in percentages that we did in the categorical, right? The incumbent governor is interested in assessing its chances of returning to office and plans to conduct a survey of 2,000 registered voters in the northern section of Indiana. Using the hypothesis testing process, assess the governor's chances of re-election. So it's like something pre-poll, where this media and all do pre-polls before the elections. Now, first thing we did a null hypothesis, right? The null hypothesis here is that we assume that in the pre-poll, we will get this more than 80% proportion, those who are going to select this particular candidate. Then alternate is, means he need at least 80% and more than 80%, so that's a null hypothesis. If it's less than, that's the alternate. Alternate, it means he's not going to elect in this particular election based upon the pre-poll survey. So we have this population proportion. Now we need a sample proportion. Sample they did with the 2000, right? 2000 population, they did this particular survey. So let's see how the people voted for this particular situation. Out of 2000, only 1550 had selected this particular candidate. So that's proportion is 0.775. So this is a gap between, we actually need around 80%, but in the sample poll, we found 0.775. So is this difference is due to some chance, means they are more or less same, so he's going to be elected, or this chance, this particular difference is indicating something that the opinion is, or the results are going to be differ, so we have to take it seriously. So let's do this proportion testing now. Formula for proportion testing is this one, this particular one sample case. This p is, this pi is a population parameter proportion, 1 minus p, the like in the binomial failure kind of thing, 1 minus p, right? So let's do it with manual process in the Stata software. For proportion test, again in the statistics, right now we are only doing this one sample test. Classical test of hypothesis, now proportion test. We don't have all the data sets, so we have to calculate this. So in this particular case, I already entered the values you have to enter. It's a one sample case. 2000 is the sample size, 0.775 is the sample proportion. Hypothesized proportion is 0.80. This is as per the situation in this particular case. And the confidence interval, if you see this particular case, is it given? So here it is not given. So let's suppose we are taking a case of 5%, but it's a one tail, right? That's you have to keep in mind. So 95% confidence interval. So if I press OK, let's see what are the chances of this particular man. Okay, so start with the p-value. Now this is a one tail test, so we have to look on this particular situation. Our p-value is less than the level of significance, so we have to reject the null hypothesis. Null is he is going to get a proportion of more than 80% or equal to 80%, so it means he's not going to that, so he might lose this particular position. If you go with this confidence interval approach, this Z stat value won't lie here. Oh, sorry, this particular proportion value 0.80 won't lie in this particular confidence interval. So again, you have to reject the null hypothesis. If you go with the critical value approach, then you need a critical value for this particular case. So this is the 5% level of significance, 1. So you have to type Z tail 0.05 one-tailed test. So let's see the critical values. The critical value is 1.64. So this particular minus 2.79 lie outside the, you have to see in the left side. I already explained that value won't differ as it's a positive side. So it's a minus 1.64. So our minus 2.79 is outside the acceptance region. So we have to reject the null hypothesis. So if you can use any one approach out of this p-value or this level of significance, critical value, critical region, acceptance and rejection region, or confidence interval, results will remain same. The findings will remain same. So in this case, he might lose this particular position, right, based upon the pre-post survey. So this is a case of proportion when you have something in the percentages. If you have something in the quantitative data, like the mean, then you can use Z and T test based upon the information, like as here I described you, that this depends upon available information, sample size, and the distribution. So available information I here mean whether you know the population standard deviation or not. If you don't know the population standard deviation, your sample size is small, use T test. So this is a case of one sample test. So we did this first case, one sample, Z, T, and proportions. So any doubt so far? Then we can move to two independent sample tests. Any doubt in one sample test? Okay, then start the two independent sample group test. Okay, now the situation again, comparison to home and comparison of what? Now, if it's a case of quantitative data, then we have to compare mean of one group with the other. Again, we can use Z/T test based upon the available information, sample size, and distribution. If it's a categorical variable, then it's comparison of one group, proportion of one group of particular category with another group proportion of same category. Then we have use proportion Z test. So we do it one by one. First, this Z case. Let's take an example from the textbook, 331. Okay, let's suppose, okay, first just show me, I'll show you the formulas. If it's a two sample independent test, then now you are going to compare. Now you are not going to compare with the population comparison. Now comparison between the groups, okay, mean of one with the mean of another. In denominator, now it's formula will get changed. Now you need information about the standard deviation of for both the groups. So let's take this particular example first. Customers at Foodtown supermarkets have a choice when paying for their groceries. They may check out and pay using the standard cashier assisted checkout, or they may use the new U-scan procedure, like cash or this particular debit card. In the standard procedure, Foodtown employee scans each item, puts it on a short conveyor. Here another employee puts it in a bag and then into the grocery cart. In the U-scan procedure, the customer scans each item, bags it, and places the bags in the cart themselves. U-scan procedure is designed to reduce the time a customer spends in the checkout line. U-scan facility was recently installed at the Vine Road Foodtown location. The store manager would like to know if the mean checkout time using the standard checkout method is longer than using the UScan. She gathered the following sample information. The time is measured from where the customer enters the line until their bags are in the cart. Hence, the time includes both waiting in line and checking out. So let's suppose for simplicity, this is the information. We have a sample means for both the groups. We have a standard deviation for both the groups. We have a sample size. Now, what we are actually interested that this in this particular case, the mean time 5.50 minutes and 5.30 minutes. The difference is just by chance, or this difference is something that these two procedures are different and one procedure is saving the time as compared to other. So let's suppose this is the situation. I'll also try to do it with some another situation. First, just do it with this particular case. Now our null is that no difference in the mean checkout times for both the two groups. So they have taken this particular case that mean time for this particular is taking. I think here we have to see it as per the question is the question is mean checkout time using the standard checkout method is longer than using the UScan. So this information you have to use in this particular case. Alternate hypothesis, and this is your null hypothesis. So this is again one tail case. So this is a case of two sample. Now assumptions you have to cross check. Two samples must be unrelated, that is independent. Samples must be large enough that the distribution of sample means follow the normal distribution. The usual practice to require that both sample have at least 30 observation. This is first case when we have to apply for the Z-test. So let's do this with the Z-test case. So again, statistic, classical test of statistics, Z-test calculator. I would say two sample. I think I already entered the information. You have to enter the information. First sample is 50. Its mean is 5.5. Its population standard deviation is 0.40. We are using this particular information here, right? Although it's a sample, but as I explained that if sample size is sufficiently large and it follows the normal distribution, you can use it as a approximation for the population standard deviation. So otherwise, you can use t-test. There is no harm. Your findings will remain same. Sample 2, sample size is 100, mean is 5.3, and your standard deviation is 0.3. The level of significance here, it's not mentioned in the question, so let's take a 5% level of significance. If you press enter, okay, let's see the results. Okay, so these are our results. We were interested to see the difference, and this is the case of this particular right tail test. So first go with the p-value approach. Our p-value is less than the level of significance, so we have to accept the alternate hypothesis. And is z is 3.12. So in this particular case, if you need a critical value for z, in this particular case, now the thing is you need one tail test. So z tail 0.05 level of significance, one tail test 1. Let's see the critical value. It's 1.64. So our z statistics is greater than this particular value, so we can reject the null hypothesis and accept alternate hypothesis. And if you want to compare these two distributions, you can do that. For that, the command is, it means the command. Okay, you can do that, but for that you have to again install this particular package, that is surge Z demo. This is if anytime you want to compare two distribution, like in this particular case, right? So first you have to enter search Z demo, enter. Now I don't know which, there are two packages here. I don't know which one is working. You had just installed both these two packages. Or you can just use this one, second one, Z demo 2. P value is there, Gagan. Where is not the P value? Here is the P value. These are the P values. So install this Z demo. It is just I'm trying to show the distribution of both these samples, right? So if it is installed, then press this particular command, that is Z demo 2. Now mean of the first one, let's take first one 5.5, hunting from the questions, and its standard deviation that's given in the question, it is 0.4, 0.4. Then mean of the second, that is 5.3, and its standard deviation is 0.4. I'm trying to look upon these two distributions which we are comparing. So just press enter. So these are the two distributions. So more or less looking same, right? If the even the sample size is different, one is the 50, another is the 100. But if you look upon these distributions, only mean is different, so that gap is there. And we are trying to see whether this gap is by chance or if something is there. Means in these two type of procedures, might be one is more efficient if it's a case of reducing the time, saving the time. So this is how you can see both the distributions. So by this approach, it is clear that null is rejected, alternate is accepted. So our alternative is this right tail case, that the standard procedure is efficient. That was the question they want to know, whether use-can procedure is designed to reduce the time. So we can conclude that yes, it is successful to reduce the time. So let's see their results. So we conclude that there is very little likelihood that the null hypothesis is true. So it's got rejected. So that this particular, so it is, to put it another way, we conclude the use-can method is faster. So this is how we can interpret the result, that depend upon the question. I hope now Gagan it's clear how we interpret the results. So let's do some another exercise. Let's suppose we
Sir,
have a data set.
excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So that command zdemo, then we have used the mean of a sample and then the standard deviation, then the mean of the second sample and the standard deviation. In that, it's
Yes.
given 0.4 standard deviation of the first sample and 0.3 standard deviation of the second sample.
Okay. Oh, I did a mistake. Yes. Yes. Yes.
If you do this, the graph is different. Can you explain that graph?
Yeah. This is.
I'm not getting this graph. My graph is coming totally different.
You have to use it Z demo 2.
Oh, okay.
The command Z demo 2. I don't know this inbuilt function where it is, means in this particular, definitely it is here, but this package is, I know, so just trying to show you this critical range acceptance procedure. Otherwise, we don't require it. But yes, if you want to compare or see the distributions, then you can use these packages. Is it done? Z demo 2 you have to use. Difference is due to this standard deviation. Their mean are different and their standard deviation is different. So this plus minus range is different. So these distributions are different.
So actually your range is coming from 3.9 to 7.1. So your graph is visible. The normal curve is visible. My range is coming from 175.5 to 185.5. Well, minus 175.5 to 185.5. So my graph is not visible. How can
You're
I
using you are
change
using
the
which version? 16 or another?
15?
There might be a chance.
Okay, okay, okay,
But you can work with this editor. Just zoom it
okay.
out or zoom it in. It will show you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, so this is how we do two sample independent test case of Z test. So let's do this exercise with a small data set. Let's suppose you have a small data set. Then you have to use the t-test. Sample populations follow the normal distribution. Two samples are from independent population. The standard deviation of the populations are almost equal. And we have a case of small sample size, and you have to use t-test in place of z-test. So in this particular case, let's take another example. Before doing that, let me do it with one data set first, because we have already a data set. So let's do with the data set. Let's suppose I'm interested to compare the this writing or any other variable you can take. Let's take a math score. I want to see whether this math score, average math score, is different in male or female or same. Let's suppose I want to compare these results. In this data set, you have this variable male and female, and you have this score. So let's suppose you want to compare. So the female score is not depend upon the male score, and male score won't depend upon the female score. So these are the independents. So we have a two independent samples, right? Although you can see this is a one variable, but these observations are independent. So female observations are different and male observations are different. So let's suppose we want to compare these results. The average math score of male and female. You can take any hypothesis. Let's suppose I am taking that they are equal, means both male and female are equally intelligent in math subject. So the average score needs to be equal. Let's suppose I am taking this particular hypothesis. The alternate, they are not equal. So let's do this particular thing. Now again, statistics. Classical test of hypothesis. T-test, mean I'm going to use this T-test. You can also use the Z-test, but then it will ask you about the population variance. So let's suppose we don't know the population variance. Let's use the T-test first. Two sample using groups. This male and female are group. My variable is math score. Group variable is female. This female is both male and female. Let's I'm using in the equal variance case. Confidence interval, I'm taking 5% level of significance. Okay. So let's see the first averages for both these cases. The mean score for math for the male is 52.94 and female is 52.39. So here in this case, data already indicating that more or less they are equal, right? So let's see our results. This is two-tailed test. So if we go with the p-value approach, p-value is greater than the level of significance. So we reject the null hypothesis. It means, sorry, we have to accept the null hypothesis. So it means more or less their average score in math is same. So our hypothesis is correct, different in the math score. So this is how you do independent sample test, two samples independent test, comparisons of mean if you have a data set. You can do this same with this particular z-test if your sample size is sufficiently large. So next we have only these things are getting changed now. When we do this in the classrooms, we do these formulas, we cram these formulas, we sort out, we solve. Means that exercise is tedious. The purpose behind that is you can understand this nature of data sets, and these comparisons are different from one or the another method. So there are slight differences in the formula. So you have to take care about that. So I hope this two independent sample test is clear. So what if this is a case of, before doing the pair test, let it do with the proportions. Yes, we want to compare the two proportions. First, let me do it with dataset example and one example from the book so that it will be clear for you. With the same dataset, now I want to compare the proportion. How I want to compare the proportions? Here there are two variables. One is the female, where is showing male and female. Another school type, where they are studying private and public school. So let's suppose I am interested to see, now this both the variables are categorical, right? School type have a category and female has category. So we can't apply T or Z test. We can apply proportion test. Proportion test for the categorical variables. So let's suppose I want to see whether female are adopting a public school or private school. Is there a difference in their proportions, or more or less their percentages remain same in the public schools and the private schools? Let's suppose I want to do this hypothesis testing. Now this particular public and private is independent group case, right? So I want to see only for the females, whether the females participation or the percentage in the public school is different from the private, or is it a more or less same? Let's again, I'm taking hypothesis that their percentages in the public school and the private school is almost same. So my null hypothesis again, it's equal to case, so it means there is no difference in the percentages of female in public school and private school. So it's a case of two-tailed test. So to do this particular, this is a case of proportion now. Means I'm doing this second case. Let me keep you with the track so that you can understand where we are. I'm doing this two independent sample group for categorical variable. We did with this with for the categorical quantity variable Z and T case. Let me do it with for a proportions test for categorical case. So again, statistics, classical test of hypothesis, proportion test, two sample using groups, female variable name and group where I want to see school type, it's a private and public. I want to see it at a 5% level of significance, so it's a 95% confidence interval. So, okay, let's see the results. You can cross check your tables. In the public, females are 54%. In the private school, females are 56%. So actually, we are testing this. Is this difference just by a chance? Is more or less their percentage is same in the public and private schools, or this difference is indicating something that they might be prefer one in comparison to another. This is our result. So let's see, is it our null hypothesis is more or less their percentage is equal. So if I go with the p-value approach, it's the p-value is more than the level of significance. So we have to accept the null hypothesis that more or less their percentages is equal, means there is nothing too new in their difference in the percentage. They are preferring giving equal preference for both the public schools and the private schools. So only thing you have to keep in mind is that to do a proportion testing, your data needs to be of that particular nature. Otherwise, sometimes you will find error in the status. It might show you that you have categories more than the required categories. Keep in mind, we can only compare at a time 2 samples. If you try to compare 3, like you have a case of 3 variable, 3 category case, then you can't apply Z and T test. For more than 2, we have this F test approach, right? That you have to keep in mind. So they are restricted to 2 comparison for 2 independent sample tests. So this is how you compare the proportions. So I hope now this second one is also clear. 2 independent sample group for Z, for T, and proportion test. So then let me move to this third case, pair test. Any doubts so far in the first 2 cases, one sample test? And keep in mind this is everything is about the comparisons. This hypothesis testing is everything about the comparisons, one versus the another. So this is what we are doing today. So any doubts so far? Then
So
I
we are
can,
use we are
yeah.
using two samples using groups, and there is another option, two samples using variables. What is the difference?
Variable is generally for the pair test. Let me show you with this T test, pair test. That's like you want to compare the average of writing score with the average of math score. So we have a 2 different variables, right? Writing is the one variable, math is another variable. Now there are 2 possibilities. If you compare writing score with the math score average, but we have a same sample set, right? So it's a paired test, means one dependent, because the sample size, the individuals are same. For them, this writing score and math score is there. So they are, that's called pair t-test. Then we use this variable case. And the another possibility is that unpaired test. Let's suppose we have a 2 different sample test and 2 different variables you want to compare, then we have to use unpaired test. Let me do this pair test, then it will be clear. This third case is pair test. So in the pair test, I'll show you first one example from the textbook. Page 344. Okay, so this is the case of dependent samples. We tested the difference between the means from 2 independent samples. That's the earlier the case. Now we compare the mean time required to mount an engine using Wellness method to the time to mount the engine using the Atkins method, but for the same sample. So to put it in another way, if the sample is not independent, the one sample is there and 2 variables you are trying, that's we call dependent sample case. It's a paired sample. Let me take, so this is the formula now. This D is the difference between 2 pairs. Like in this particular case, let me take example of average mean score of science and average mean score of maths. So that difference is the D, mean of the differences between the paired or related observations. SD is the different standard deviation for that difference observations, and N is the number of paired observations. So for example, in this particular case, the Nickel Savings and Loan wishes to compare the 2 companies they use to appraise the value of residential homes. Nickel Savings selected a sample of 10 residential properties and scheduled both firms for an appraisal. The results reported in this particular figure. This is a case of now, see, these observations are same, the individuals are same, but these are the 2 different situations or variables. So this is a paired test. So first case, they are saying the difference is negligible. Like if I'll say the average score of math won't differ with the average score of science, that kind of situation. And alternate is there is a difference between math score and science score. So let me do this particular case. First do with this science and math, then do this textbook case. Statistics, classical test, hypothesis testing, t-test mean comparison, two samples using variables, paired, because our independent, they are dependent, one single sample set. First variable is math score. Another variable is science score. Let me do it with the 5% level of significance and see the results. So null, we are saying there is no difference in the average score of math and science. If we see the average score of math and science, more or less the difference is only of less than 1%, less than 1 marks it's a score. So in this case, if we go with the p-value or any approach, this particular p-value is more than the level of significance, so we have to reject the null, we have to accept the null hypothesis. So we can conclude that there is no significant difference between the math score and science score. So this is a case of two variable, but it's a case of paired. It means only the one sample set is there, but the two variables are there. This another one, this particular option, if you want to use this particular option to sample using groups, this is actually for unpaired data. Let me show, although I don't have any data set here that is kind of unpaired. So if you do the same exercise with this, let me show you the difference actually. Science. The difference you can see from here, this particular value, 398, means they counted it twice, that first 200 observations for the math, then 200 observation for the science. And in the first case, it counted as a paired, that these are the paired observations. So it's a 200 sample test, and for the same, these are the two variables. So this is the difference in this particular command, whether you can use, if your case is of the unpaired, then you can go with this variable, this option. Two sample using variables. If you think it's a paired, it's a dependent case, then you can use the pair test. So this is the only difference. Both the cases are for two different variables. But if it's a pair, then you have to select the paired option. If you think the samples are independent, although in this case the sample is same, but what it did, that it divided in, means it counted it twice, 200 plus 200. So that depend upon the situation. So in this case, we have a single data set, but if you have a two data sets, then you can go with this particular unpaired case. Let me see this particular book case now. They have this particular situation. Two different companies. Now they are testing this with the Nichols Savings selected a sample of 10 residential properties and scheduled both firms for an appraisal. Results reports are here. In null, we are taking that there is no difference. So you have to find the difference, then gap between the difference. Now mean of the difference and standard deviation of the difference. Your t value. Now this t value is 3.30 and the critical value is 3.250. This value lie outside the acceptance region, so they will reject the null hypothesis and they will go with this second alternate finding, that there is a difference among these two companies in the claims, in the appraisal form. So this is how you can do pair test and unpaired test. Although I didn't find any unpaired examples, or I don't have any right now any data set which is kind of unpaired, but the difference is this one, which I explained you, that if you have two different data sets for two variables, means they are independent, then you can use unpaired option, two variable case. Otherwise, you have to use this particular paired test. If you can read this particular statement, that would actually they are calling this paired is for each. Let's take this example. To review the consistency of the two appraisal firms, Nichols Saving randomly selected 10 homes and both appraisals and Bohr Real Estate appraise the value of the selected homes. For each home, there will be a pair of appraisal values. That is, for each home, there will be an appraised value from both Schedule and Bohr Real. The appraisal values depend on or are related to the home selected. This is also referred to as paired samples. So this is a case of paired. Like in our example, the students are attempting both, right? Math and science. So this is not something independently calculated. So this is a paired kind of data set. So we can go with the paired. So this is your third case. Paired test, two variables, single set of sample. So this is how you can use z-test, t-test, and proportions test. Any doubts so far? This is the content I want to discuss with you today. That how we apply z-test, how we apply t-test, how we apply proportions test. Proportions is about categorical data, z and t about quantitative data. When you have to use z and t, that depend upon the situation. So any doubts so far? Anyone? Then I can take one or more example, or otherwise we have to stop here, and tomorrow we will do now more than two case. That's we have to apply F test, or if want to compare the variances, then we have to apply F test. So any doubts so far?